Breaking news overnight, Grammy-nominated rapper Nipsey Hussle shot and killed outside his own clothing store in Los Angeles.
Morning after the stunning murder of Grammy-nominated rapper Nipsey Hussle.
A lot of people look at the situation and say, Nipsey was too big to be telling that to someone. You know what I mean? If he felt that way, he should have let one of his little homies handle that. He shouldn't be engaging people when he's so much above them.
That's how it be, man. It be those guys, man, who develop so much hate because they not you, they want your spot. It's all about the people wanting your spot, man. He wanted his spot. He wanted to be the one with the car full of garages and all this stuff. He wanted his spot, you know.
On March 31st, 2019, Nipsey Hussle visited his store, The Marathon Continues, situated within a mall at the intersection of Slauson and Crenshaw. Initial transcripts indicated that he arrived a little after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. However, during the official trial following his tragic murder, the precise time was documented as 2:50 p.m. Exiting his black parked car without any security, Nipsey Hussle, a down-to-earth celebrity, warmly greeted people in the parking lot. He graciously signed autographs and took pictures with his fans. Nipsey Hussle, a well-known member of the Rolling 60s, was not only respected within his own gang, but also held in high regard by individuals in rival gangs. He found himself engaged in conversations with friends in the parking lot. Around 30 minutes later, the timer was tragically set, leading to Nipsey Hussle's untimely demise. Concurrently, a man by the name of Eric Holder was on a collision course with Nipsey Hussle, resulting in the loss of the renowned rapper's life. Eric Holder, formerly known in the music industry as Fly Mac and known on the streets as Shitty Cubs and BG Knockout, was a figure classified as an OG. The origins of the relationship between Eric Holder and Nipsey Hussle were narrated by those acquainted with the circumstances. Holder was accompanied by the woman with whom he had a romantic relationship. She happened to be Brianita Nicholson, aged 35, who would later discover the sinister intentions of the man she had let into her life. Holder and Brianita embarked on what she believed to be a casual outing, planning to dine at a restaurant. Ironically, the location chosen by Holder was the mall situated at the intersection of Slauson Avenue and Crenshaw Boulevard, the very place where Nipsey Hussle's store was situated. Unbeknownst to her, Holder had his trusty black semi-automatic handgun with him, which he asserted was for his own protection. At that moment, she remained unaware of this fact. As they drove into the mall's parking lot, little did she know that Nipsey Hussle's fate was hanging in the balance. Surveillance cameras captured her vehicle, a 2016 white Chevy Cruze, entering the parking lot adjacent to Nipsey and his two friends Herman Douglas, also known as Cowboy, and Evan McKenzie. Brianita made it known to Eric Holder that Nipsey Hussle was present in the parking lot. She expressed her excitement upon seeing Nipsey, and later, during her testimony, she provided a more detailed description of her feelings. Unintentionally, she added to the tension because, while speaking to Holder, she mentioned that Nipsey appeared attractive to her, thinking of herself as just a fan of the rapper. Little did she know that Holder had a long-standing feud with Nipsey. Holder barely acknowledged her mention of Nipsey, which should have raised alarms about the impending tragedy. Holder proceeded with his normal activities, getting out of his car shirtless and entering a food establishment called Master Burger. However, his attention swiftly shifted to Nipsey after placing his food order. Nipsey was still in the parking lot, conversing with two friends when Holder approached, shaking hands with everyone. The conversation continued for several minutes, but Brianita failed to grasp the seriousness of the situation. Instead, she approached Nipsey for a photograph, a moment when she should have been more cautious. Brianita claimed that she barely heard the conversation about snitching that was taking place. Nipsey, however, brushed Holder off like a former friend, signaling that he had severed ties with him. At this point, Nipsey's life was on the line. Brianita noticed a change in Nipsey's demeanor. He remained composed, but Holder's emotions began to escalate, and he appeared agitated. Cowboy, one of Nipsey's close friends present, elaborated on the conversation. Nipsey seemed to be telling Holder that there were rumors of him snitching, and in the gang culture, such an act was intolerable and could result in loss of credibility or even one's life. Cowboy suggested that Nipsey may have been offering Holder a way out of the situation rather than confronting him according to the street code. Nipsey allegedly said, "I haven't seen the paperwork, you need to take care of that." Another witness provided a more poignant account of Nipsey's statement, indicating that Nipsey still harbored love for someone he once considered a brother and simply wanted him to rectify the rumors circulating about him. In a later interaction, Nipsey turned away from the conversation with Holder and approached Brianita, who he viewed as a fan, asking if she wanted a photo. She agreed, unaware that this would be Nipsey's last picture. Shortly after, Holder returned to Master Burger to collect his meal and instructed Brianita to circle around to the back while brandishing his weapon. She complied, but Holder soon abandoned his meal and exited the vehicle. Unbeknownst to her, Holder was on a mission to end Nipsey's life. He made his way through the area where Nipsey and others were talking and opened fire with 2 guns, a .40 caliber semi-automatic handgun and a revolver. He shot Nipsey approximately 10 times. This was a violent act, captured on surveillance cameras from nearby businesses. Holder didn't shoot Nipsey just once, but on 3 separate occasions, as he left and then returned to finish the job. He even kicked Nipsey in the skull before fleeing through an alley. Before carrying out the act, Holder was heard telling Nipsey, "You're through." Nipsey reportedly said his last words to Holder, saying, "You got me." This horrifying incident occurred at approximately 3:20 p.m., leaving Nipsey fighting for his life on the ground, along with 2 others who were not as severely injured in the attack. Paramedics rushed to the scene and found Nipsey on the ground, bleeding and unconscious. Only a few precious minutes remained before Nipsey Hussle's life would slip away. The paramedics made frantic efforts to resuscitate the injured rapper, persisting in their life-saving endeavors as they transported him on the ambulance stretcher to the emergency room. Regrettably, Nipsey couldn't overcome his injuries, and he succumbed to them upon his arrival at the hospital. This tragic turn of events occurred between 3:20 p.m., when the shooting took place, and 4 p.m., Nipsey had been struck in the head, chest, abdomen, and foot by bullets, which were reported to have severed his spine and punctured his lungs. The world was engulfed in mourning, with people sharing their grief as a means of coping, while medical professionals tended to the other victims of the shooting. Meanwhile, Holder was making his escape. He navigated through the alleyways, and various surveillance cameras captured him carrying both murder weapons back to the car where Brianita had parked. She grew frantic and inquired about the situation, unaware that Holder had just targeted Nipsey Hussle. In a fit of rage, Holder warned her that she would face consequences if she didn't drive him away. That night, Brianita allowed Holder to stay at her and her mother's house, claiming at the time that she didn't connect Holder to Nipsey Hussle's incident. However, word began to spread throughout the streets, putting not only Holder's life in jeopardy, but also the lives of those around him. Rumors circulated that his family was targeted, and under the immense pressure, his brother tragically took his own life. The LAPD swiftly disseminated information regarding Holder's arrest, and his streak of good luck came to an end on April 2nd, shortly after the bulletin was issued. Officers received a tip about Holder's possible whereabouts in the Bellflower area, leading to his tracking and subsequent apprehension. He was now poised to face charges related to the assassination of Nipsey Hussle, including 2 attempted hits, as well as the possession of firearms as a convicted felon, assault, and assault with a firearm. The weight of the evidence against him was substantial. There was no escaping the fact that he had pulled the trigger, leading to Nipsey's tragic demise. However, a pivotal question loomed. Would Holder be able to argue for a lesser charge of manslaughter, suggesting that he hadn't intended to take Nipsey's life, but rather acted impulsively in the heat of the moment after being accused of being a snitch? Alternatively, would the prosecution contend that he had premeditated the act, thereby qualifying for a first-degree murder charge and a potential life sentence? Holder's legal team attempted to present the incident as a crime of passion, asserting that he hadn't planned to end Nipsey's life, but under intense emotions triggered by the accusation of being a snitch, he lost control and committed the act without premeditation. However, while awaiting his fate, Holder faced retaliation from fellow inmates who sought revenge. They brutally beat him unconscious in a holding cell, cutting him with a razor and leaving him with a swollen eye that required staples. Ultimately, the jury rendered their verdict, delivering a second blow, this time legally. They convicted Holder of first-degree murder. Eric Holder now faces a lengthy prison sentence for his actions, while Nipsey Hussle's fans, friends, and family continue to mourn his untimely passing.